Welcome in on this Thursday. I was muted for a second. I'm glad that it told me that because I wouldn't have known for a little while. Welcome in, everybody. Good to see you on this Thursday. Some final thoughts here. There's a lot of sports going on. There's 3 college football games. There's an NFL game. I've got the Pelicans on a stream up here as well. So a lot going on, and I appreciate you hanging out for the live stream tonight. Sorry I missed you on Tuesday, but it was Halloween. And I mean, come on. I mean, come on. Well, that's a bad. It didn't focus well, but I mean, look at him in his little flight suit. So I had to skip this so I could do that. So I appreciate you guys. And let's talk some football. So of course, I'm Michael Borky. Like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. What are you watching for this weekend? 2 home games, beautiful weather upcoming on Saturday. No excuses for a crowd at Oxford, and it'll be sold out, so that's a dumb thing to say. Really great night for football in Starkville, but I know the crowd size is going to be something noteworthy when the end of the year comes, especially, and that's a conversation maybe for next week after the game happens so we can have a better gauge of what we're dealing with. But point is, the weather's going to be beautiful. Perfect weekend for football, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And let's talk about it for the next 20 or 30 minutes or so. What are you watching for this weekend? I'll tell you what I'm watching for, and I want you guys to tell me what you are watching for. In Oxford, it's 2 things. It's line play, and it's second half / fourth quarter play. Because to boil an entire... it's 2 teams, 85 guys on each team, and they all do different things and all that. But to boil it down pretty simply, at least to me, Texas A&M's strength is on the defensive line. Also get really good linebacker play as well for what it's worth. But their strength is on the defensive line. And they get after the quarterback as well as anybody in the country. Their havoc rate, their sack rate, all that stuff, pressures, among the best, if not the best in the country in basically all of those categories. They are very, very good at it. Definitely tops in the SEC. Ole Miss doesn't protect particularly well. They gave up 3 sacks even to Vanderbilt last week. So to me, it's a weakness for Ole Miss. It's A&M's strength, and it's strength on weakness. I assume that Ole Miss is going to have to get Jackson Dart to be mobile. Whether they're moving the pocket, whether they're calling design quarterback runs, draws, screen games, stuff like that, to kind of to help with what I assume they anticipate to be a mismatch up front. Also expect a very important day for the running back staying in pass protection as well. I wonder how much they're going to be able to keep tight ends in to alleviate that and help that as well. That's something to keep an eye on for sure. On the flip side, though, it's the same thing. Ole Miss's strength, their most consistent strength, maybe even as a football team. That's a bit of an exaggeration because of who they have in the backfield. But Ole Miss is also exceptional at havoc rate, stuff rate. They lead the SEC in yards before contact for their opponents, meaning that they give up the fewest yards before contact. In run plays. Their sack rate is really, really good. Their tackle for loss rate is really, really good. It's a strength for that team. And I would argue that A&M's one of their biggest, if not the biggest weakness is protection. And also Max Johnson not being like the most elusive guy in the pocket as well. So I'm watching to see which offensive line, which play caller, which scheme, which team is better equipped to protect the quarterback in this game. And again, I know it's like an oversimplification. Which offensive line plays better? Well, that usually applies to most games. But especially in this one, considering the force that they face on the other side, which one fares better? Whichever one fares better, I think, will win the game. And then the other component, the thing I'm watching for the most, Ole Miss is great in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter. They double up their opponents in the fourth quarter in points, or in the second half in points. A&M, I believe, has scored 1 second-half touchdown this year, something like that. They are very, very bad in the second half, and they're very, very bad on the road. If this is a close game in the third quarter, even if A&M has a little bit of a lead going into the locker room, I would feel very confident in Ole Miss winning the game. The trends say this year, and for A&M, even into last year, A&M is very bad on the road. They haven't won a road game in 2 years. They're not good in the second half. Ole Miss is the inverse. Ole Miss gets better as the game goes on, especially defensively. And so if it's a tight game and that trend continues, you would expect Ole Miss to run away late in that game. In Starkville, the noise is loud, it's deafening, and there's going to be 15 to 20,000 possibly empty seats there at the stadium. That will say a lot by saying nothing at all. I mean, if Mississippi State's going to have any shot in this game whatsoever, if they're going to have any shot in the game, then they've got to limit Kentucky's running game. And I know they've got some weapons at wide receiver, and Leary played his best game of the year this past Saturday. But if State's going to get run on, I mean, it's hard to talk about this game. But that's the thing that I'm watching for the most is how State's front six performs against Kentucky's offensive line. They have to limit the running game by any means necessary, and just hope Leary has one of his typical nights this season as opposed to what happened last Saturday. That's their only shot of winning here. I am frankly not confident at all in their ability to scheme up good offense to help Mike Wright. I mean, we have a multi-game sample size now that says, frankly, that they're unable to be creative enough to make Mike Wright work, and so I'm not counting on that. But here's another opportunity because people think Will Rogers is going to be back for next week. So here's another opportunity to try to be creative, show some run looks that Kentucky hasn't seen on film yet. If you have an option game, use it. Tell Wright to take off if he sees green grass and go from there. So that's a tough game to talk about, quite frankly. It's big picture stuff with Mississippi State, but yeah, that's where we sit right now. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I gotta 1 second. Sorry, just somebody's not wanting to do what he's supposed to be doing right now. So we'll get to your comments and then we'll get you out of here. Is Zach Arnett on the hot seat? Unequivocally, yes. Anybody telling you otherwise is spinning, outright lying, frankly. Yes. Can he salvage that? Of course. But yes, these next 4 games, he is coaching to save his job, even though it's year one. That is absolutely the case, without a doubt. So Kiffin stirring the pot. Is he stirring the pot, or is he just this Jimbo thing is different? See, I see people drawing the comparisons between the way Kiffin acts about Jimbo and the way Kiffin does about Saban. They're different, frankly. I mean, I know it's similar behavior, but it's different. I think he respects Nick Saban. I think that game, like, almost intimidates him. Like, he wants to win that game so bad because of those things, and it kind of causes him to act irrationally. I think with this Jimbo stuff, and he's done it every year, in fairness, I think he genuinely doesn't like the guy and doesn't respect him as a football coach. That's putting words into somebody else's mouth. I mean, I haven't spoken to Lane about it. I never will. But it appears that, especially after it was evident that A&M bought the best recruiting class of all time because it's legal now, and so of course, I mean, who cares? Why are they so obsessed with convincing people that they don't do that? It makes no sense whatsoever. Take the Kirby Smart approach, and I'm not taking that bait. Sorry. That's all you need to do is, we're really proud of the work we put in here. And if other people want to talk, it just sounds like jealousy to me, is what I would say if I were Jimbo. But instead, he called out Nick Saban. Instead, he called Lane Kiffin a clown and also started losing football games with all that talent. I think it's without knowing him personally, over the years, I think it's abundantly clear that he does not respect him as a coach and possibly doesn't even like him as a person. So He's done this every year, and he's beaten him. I mean, he's never lost to Jimbo, and so I really don't think it's the same thing as the Alabama deal. I think it's coming from a place of true, genuine dislike. What do I think about the Ole Miss basketball team? Tell me if the two waivers get approved or not. I do think that they will be competitive. I think they will play meaningful, competitive basketball games in February. But I don't know if in year one they will have a roster that can make the tournament if at least one of those waivers does not get approved. But I mean, if anybody can elevate what they currently have, it is Chris Beard. I mean, he is exceptional at getting the most out of his roster, and so yeah, I do expect them. I think the expectation for Ole Miss fans should be just play basketball that matters in February into March. It's not a tournament or bust thing. I think that's completely unrealistic, but I do think it's play games that matter all the way up until the end of the season. That's a realistic expectation to me, and the chips fall where they may. Line has stayed at -3, but I think it's going to be a rise back in Ole Miss's favor by Saturday. A&M hasn't won a road game at a ranked team since 2014, believe it or not. Such an elite program. Goodness. I knew it was 2 years since they've won a road game at all. I didn't realize it was almost a decade since they've won a ranked road game. Wow. Yeah, the trends don't favor A&M in this game, but the line has stayed put because I think that the odds makers, two things. They I assume are worried about Ole Miss's ability to protect, and maybe they're also worried about a lingering issue with Jackson Dart. That's entirely possible. So, need the show to get you through your last hour of your drive home from Grenada to Ocean Springs? Well, appreciate you, Anthony. Jealous of you living in Ocean Springs, if that is in fact where you live. I love Ocean Springs, Mississippi. I think that is a hidden gem not in the state, in the South. I think that is a hidden gem in the South. A really, really, really cool little downtown area. I love it there, and I can't wait for when I get to go back. And I'm not pandering, Anthony. I tell people, I've told my dad this, and he's only been to Mississippi to visit me in his entire life. So yeah, I've got no benefit of telling him that other than that it's true. So appreciate you being here, man. For the first time in 5 years, you're excited about Ole Miss men's basketball. You should be. Can Jackson Dart get out of his little slump? Of course he can. Absolutely he can. But that is a key, right? Is if he's absolutely got the ability and the mental toughness and the wherewithal to play much better than he has the last couple of weeks. No doubt about it. Can he? This is a big game for him. He's going to be under duress a lot. He's going to be under pressure. He's going to be forced to make quick decisions. He's going to be asked to run a good bit. I think he's going to get hit a good bit. And luckily, he has displayed the ability to tough stuff like that out. I said on the radio show today that Jackson Dart's best attribute is not his arm, because he's got a good arm. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the strongest arm. Frankly, he's not the most accurate passer. He's elusive and he's athletic and he can run, but he's not the fastest guy out there. His strength, the best attribute that Jackson Dart has as a quarterback, is he's tough. He's mentally and physically tough. And so that has really been on display this year in multiple spots. I mean, you go back to Tulane and Trey Harris gets hurt and his offensive line's getting their ass kicked, and it's in the fourth quarter on the road, and it's a fourth down, and he evades a free rusher. I mean, it's a great play and throws to Trigg for a touchdown, who's not on the team anymore. And then you're down 2 scores in the fourth quarter, facing a 3rd and long against LSU, and you deliver a good pass, and you made plays with your feet, and you just didn't miss all night on a night when you had to be basically perfect, and he was. And then he gets hurt on the second play against Arkansas and toughs it out and leads them to a win. And so and he's proven time and time again that mentally and physically he's tough as hell. He's going to have to be that. Again, this is going to be a Jackson Dart gut game, if that makes sense. A&M's going to test his physicality, and I think that it's going to be I mean, look, I've been wrong before, so if Ole Miss goes up 21 to nothing in the first quarter, then joke's on me. But I do expect this game to kind of have a slow start. I think the offenses are going to struggle early in this game, and can he just be patient, let that game come to him, and you know, don't make mistakes and protect the ball and trust your defense is going to keep them off the scoreboard and then make the plays when they're there and close strong. This is a prove it game to some degree anyway. He's proven a lot already, but this is going to test Jackson Dart big time on Saturday. You'd love to see the Real Tree helmet with the red jersey. That could pop. It would pop. It absolutely would pop. I would like to see it myself. Score predictions for Ole Miss A&M, 28-24 Ole Miss is my score prediction. I do think that they will win the game. I think it will be close throughout. I think fans are going to absolutely hate it. I think fans are going to hate this game. But I do think ultimately Ole Miss will win. But I do think it's going to be close, and I do think it's going to be painful for fans to try to watch this one. So anyway. You say he hasn't been in a slump. Vandy was his first bad game this season, and he still went 19 of 28 for 240. He wasn't great against Arkansas either, though. I mean, for what you expect from him, he hadn't had great games the last couple. How many short lists will Kiffin be on at the end of the year? All of them. Oh gosh, you guys are going to get me in trouble again. So this is Kiffin's audition for the A&M job, right? Yeah. No, I really don't think that the people there would be too receptive to a guy like Lane Kiffin, if we're being totally honest. And that I couldn't fathom. I really could not fathom a worse fit for a job than Lane Kiffin at Texas A&M. Couldn't fathom it. It could not possibly get worse than Lane Kiffin at Texas A&M in terms of fit, coach with culture. Couldn't get worse. USC takes down the Huskies, just like I said, the Jayhawks would do to the Sooners. That, it's possible. I know that USC's defense stinks out loud, but Washington has played really poorly lately. They haven't moved the football particularly well, and it's Caleb Williams at home. Any game that Caleb Williams is playing in, I know that things have been weird a little bit for him this year. They've got a chance to win. Absolutely, they do. Hold on, he's still not. Yeah, we're good. Anyway, you've been conflicted over the Bama LSU game, and you still can't decide on a winner, but you picked LSU in the preseason, and they have the best offense in the country, but Bama will score on that defense too. Yeah, LSU's really injury depleted. I think that I'm leaning Alabama in this one. I think LSU's too banged up right now. Chris Parson is starting. When did that happen? You guys making that up? Or is that new to me? Because I have not seen that anywhere. Haydad said nothing about this earlier at all. So blame him for me not knowing that. Let's put it that way. But yeah, no, I'm taking Alabama in this one. I think that LSU's injuries are going to pile up. It's a really tough game on the road. One of those few times where Bryant Denny's actually going to be like impactfully loud on the outcome of the game. And yeah, I do like Alabama's defense, and they're going to do just enough on a depleted LSU defense to win. But it's going to be nuts there. Let me ask this: for State, is Kentucky game really that important to Arnett's job? If 6-6 with only an Egg Bowl win in that 6 saves his job. At 6-6 with an Egg Bowl loss, he's got all the fan base against him. Yeah, I really don't think the Kentucky game matters to whether or not he's going to save his job. But man, going to a bowl game in year one after the previous head coach passes away unexpectedly is that will make your job search a little bit more difficult. I mean, I know that they will be able to hire somebody will take that job. It'll be a multi-million-dollar a year SEC job. Of course, somebody's going to take it. But the prime candidates are going to have a lot of questions. Wait, you go to a bowl game in year one after the the legend unexpectedly passes away and you fire that guy and you want me to lose my stability to go there? I mean, that will create some questions in the search. They will be again, they will be able to hire somebody, but the prime candidates with multiple options are going to wonder. Moorhead got fired after 2 and Arnett got fired after 1. What the hell do you think about yourself? And I know both of those things can be explained away, but if you have to convince somebody that your job isn't what it is, then it's an extra layer to a search. Hypothetically, Ole Miss beats Georgia and are 9-1 in 11 days. How high are they in Oxford? The marijuana field on campus will be raided. That's for sure. Thoughts on the Dabo thing from a couple days ago? I ranted about that a good bit on the radio show. Long story short, Tyler from Spartanburg asked a really flippant and inappropriate question. The producer that let him ramble for that long made a mistake. He deserved the answer that he got. But if I were a Clemson fan, I'd be deeply concerned that my $11.5 million a year football coach with a $115 million contract is that emotional over what Tyler from Spartanburg has to say about me. And it just reeks of insecurity when you have to list off your accomplishments to Tyler from Spartanburg because he rustled your Jimmy so bad that you cussed on the radio on your coach's show. That would concern me. The insecurity that came out of that answer would be deeply concerning to me if I were a Clemson fan. That strikes. I mean, that's like the Houston Nut 50 years thing. Successful people, confident people, don't have to tell you how good they are at things. No, if he was comfortable with the process and what they were doing, he wouldn't have had to tell Tyler from Spartanburg how great he was. So. Now, we don't know what the administration at State will do, but if it comes down to 5-7 or 6-6 or the Egg Bowl and you're not looking to keep him in the long term, just fire him. I actually agree with that sentiment as well. I mean, if it's coming down to one game, the decision's already been made, go ahead and move on. Back to Ole Miss A&M, you don't see many people talking about A&M's atrocious run offense. Going to be all on Max Johnson to win that game on offense. Yeah, they're very bad up front. I mean just all together. I think Ole Miss's defense is going to really be successful on Saturday. I do. It's strength versus weakness on one side and strength versus weakness on the other. But yes, I mean, and here's why I ended up picking Ole Miss. I mean, and I love what Haydad does. He says sometimes just think of games more simple. Where's the gameplay? Well, it's in Oxford. Who's the better coach? Lane Kiffin. Who's got the better quarterback? Jackson Dart. Well, then Ole Miss is going to win the game. But I agree with some of that. I would take Dart over Johnson all day, and having to put this game possibly on Max Johnson's shoulders is not a recipe for success. A&M up front will have a lot of issues with Ole Miss, especially as the game goes on, because of how they are able to keep guys fresh with how much they rotate. Let's say Dart comes back next season and let's say Dart comes back next season and has that Matt Corral type improvement. He's already had that Matt Corral type improvement, frankly. Barring injury, where does he get drafted? He's a mid-round guy, I think. I don't think there's first-round pick there. But that doesn't, I mean, mid-round guys are wildly successful in the NFL as well. But yeah, I don't think that he's a first-round pick, which is okay. But I don't see that right now. Ole Miss finishes 10-2 for the second time in 3 years. Does that raise the program's floor? Yes, I podcasted about that day. You should check that out. Yeah. Yes, it does. 28 wins in 3 years at a place like Ole Miss is elevating for sure. because that's not just Kiffin at that point. You doubt either team is cracking 30 without some turnover help. Feels like Ole Miss wins something like 27-19. Currently watching Titans Steelers. Mayo Man Levis is staying poised, making some really good throws under pressure. It looks night and day from Kentucky. What does that say about the coaching at Kentucky? I mean, let's see. I'm pulling up the box right now. Frankly, I wasn't planning on watching it at all tonight, but I guess I need to. He's 8 of 11 for 97. Wow. He's been sacked 3 times too. Shoot. And now Devin Leary's gone to Kentucky and gotten worse. If Dart stays another year, what does that mean for Walker Howard's future? Nothing. Nothing at all. Next year, he'll have 3 years of eligibility left. I mean, what's he going to do? Hit the portal again and try to get a waiver? No, he'll. Spencer Sanders won't be around, and so he'll get a metric ton of reps in preparation. He'll play in all of the mop-up duty, and I mean, with the way Dart plays, injuries are possible. I mean, no, I think him going anywhere would be really stupid at this point. So, yeah. You don't think State makes it to a bowl game? I don't either, actually. I do not as of right now. With new information, I reserve the right to change my mind. This is a huge game for Kentucky, too. They could go from 5-0 to 6-6 or 5-7 really quick if they lose this game, no doubt. Some folks are losing confidence in Mark Stoops up there, too. Someone is getting upset this weekend. Man, it'd be funny if it's Texas. Kind of think the Big 12 might not make the playoff, especially if Texas loses. They're likely done, especially after what Sark said this week. He said this week that he was like, people say we're going to have problems going to the SEC. Well, we're the only team to beat Alabama this year. Do that and then turn around and lose to Kansas State would be just objectively funny. I don't care who you are. Kiffin would have made Max Johnson look competent. He would have. He would have, but he's still limited. Won't be Max Johnson's first trip to Oxford. He got abused at LSU in 2021. If Dart stays, does Lane Portal another quarterback? No. You're not getting anybody anyway. I mean, I told people from the beginning that the Sanders deal was not as simple as people are making it out to be. He didn't have the options that you would think somebody with his experience would have had. But no, there's nobody would come in and try. I mean, it's already happened once, and you saw what happened. Dart fought him off. Nobody's going to come in with Dart returning again to try to beat him out. That wouldn't happen. So, anyway, we will see. I got to go take care of a couple of things. I know it's a bit of a shorter one, but we did go about 30 minutes tonight. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. Glad you're with me. I will see you probably at some point on Saturday. Actually, I think I might do something for you Saturday. But in the meantime, you have a great weekend. Enjoy your football, and I'll talk to you guys probably Saturday at some point. Talk to you then.